we're going to be analyzing one of the games from the candidates, and it was a game that was requested by pretty much everyone. So
yeah, no, I can understand. It was such an exciting game. Also very important for the battle of who will going to win though. And it was, I guess it was round number 8, I think. The first round they played after this long break between Caruana and MVL.
So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and set up the clip, or the game. So I was gonna ask you, had you seen the game before today? Did you watch it live?
No, I didn't watch it live. I saw it very briefly the other day, but it's very, very complicated. I've been looking at it a little bit more today, but I don't know if it's, but not so much as I would like to, because it's a very complicated game. It's very complicated what happened in the opening, the middle game, and then it's a long end game.
Okay, anyways, let's go and get started and see the game. Once again, this is us analyzing a game that was played in round 1. This is not live. Today they took a break from the candidates.
It was played in round 8, but it's the first round of the second part, yes.
Yeah, you're right, sorry. Round 8, but the first round of these last three rounds, basically. So, so yeah, first round of these last 3 days, but round 8 of the tournament.
Caruana can play lots of different openings, you know, so and this is very important among the top players. Not everyone is like that, but most of them, they are really flexible. They can play E4, D4, C4, knight F3, and they choose the opening depending against who they are playing and against what they are expecting the opponent to play. And MVL, he's the other way around. He's so always playing his Greenfield and always playing his, what we will see here, his Sicilian with Najdorf. Yeah. And that means that he has to be extremely well prepared. He has to know his variations so well, because everyone is expecting him to play this. And yeah, I'm surprised that he does that, but he has so much trust in his openings. So he does that. And this is, of course, what Caruana was expecting, the Najdorf, and he wanted to go for it. He had something prepared here, yes.
And we'll see about that, because that was quite talked about, that thing he had prepared. So we'll be able to see it here very soon.
Yeah.
So knight f3. And then d6, and this is the Najdorf.
Not yet. It still can be different openings. It can still be different openings here. Yeah. So d6 is, but if you want to go for Najdorf, you have to play d6 here in general, because if you have to go d6. You can try some a6, but that's a little bit dubious. So d6 is the way you have to play if you're going for Najdorf. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah,
and then I think it's when you go a6, right?
Yeah,
then it becomes the Najdorf.
Then it becomes the Najdorf, yes. So, and then...
Yes, chat, I'm a long-time Sicilian player, and I didn't know that this was not yet the Najdorf. That's how the situation is. Okay, let's go to the next one. So d4.
And now we go into open Sicilian, which is the most normal. And so there will be some open files, half open files. So d4 is normal, and black takes to take away the center pawn. And and white has to take back with the knight, of course. Though. So, and now after a6, now we have the Najdorf. But here black could play e6. You could You could go here. Now we play knight f6. This is a very important move actually. And the reason for this, let's say we do this little move a6 first. Can I? Yeah. Let's say we do this little move a6 first, and then white has this little extra time. You can take more control of the center. You put your pawn on c4.
Boom.
Boom. And there is no, you see that the pawns on d6 and e7 are standing in the way for this bishop. So there's no check on b4. There's no irritating on this little weakness on this line, this black line from e1 to a1. There's nothing. So white has time for c4 and will get so much more space. And it will be a small advantage, but it will be very clearly a small advantage for white with this space. So that's why you have to go knight f6 instead of a6 first. Or whatever you want to do, you start with knight f6 here. And this. And it's because now you're attacking the pawn. So you have to defend it. And if you go bishop d3, then you're a little bit standing in the way. This is not really what you want to do. So you go knight c3, you defend it. But now there's no more longer any c4. And so black now can play here a6 is Najdorf. If you go e6, it would be Scheveningen. If you go knight c6, it would be some kind of rouser. If you go g6, you would have the dragon. So still here there are lots of different choices for black. Yeah. So, but a6 is the most popular. And even if you, like MVL, only play Najdorf, it's such not only, sometimes, very few, sometimes he actually play something else, but it's so unusual. But it's such a rich opening, so you can play lots of things in it here. You can, so it's a little bit like, it's not like you're playing one line. You can choose different ideas, but anyway, you're a little bit restricting yourself, and your opponents will expect this position to come on the board. And here's white choice what to play. And here white has so many different ideas, some more positional, some more aggressive. And I think Caruana chooses, I think it's the main line actually.
Okay.
I think it's the main line what he chooses, and one of the more, a little bit aggressive ideas then. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see which one that is. Boom! Bishop g5.
Yeah, so you are a little bit, you're taking out this bishop, and when you take it out so quickly, you can have some ideas of moving up your queen and then long castling. So, and a little bit, if black goes e6, then it will be pinned. So yeah, bishop g5. Here black can play different things, but different moves, knight b7 or what he played. I think these are the two main moves, yes.
So he went for e6.
Yeah, that's very logical. You're moving up the pawn, and only one step, of course. So f4, that's very logical. First you go out with the bishop, now you go f4. If you would play f4 first, then the bishop couldn't go so far away as to g5.
Here.
So that's why you go bishop g5 first, and now f4. And here now e5 is getting very, very annoying. So normally black wants to do something against that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we can say that having the bishop here is also good, because we keep on creating threats here. Immediate threats like e5. If the bishop was gone, we wouldn't have this threat of the pin here. So
absolutely. Yeah. So that's why this is an aggressive move, and it puts pressure on black immediately. And here now he play queen b6. You can play, I guess you can go knight b7, I guess is normal, queen c7. There are different moves.
Knight d7?
Yeah, knight b7, because your friend, you
defend here, takes, and
you can take with the knight also. So there are different variation. There is also one very, very tactical. But I think you can even go, I think, but that's I think it's Pologayevsky variation. I think so. I think it's the Pologayevsky variation.
That seems like a crazy line.
Yeah, so there are different side. Now we go queen b6, and that's quite logical, because one is that now when we go f4 and the bishop is already out on g5, now black is threatening the pawn on b2, and white wants to castle long, and also in this opening you want to play quickly. So to go rook b1, you don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that, and you don't want to go b3 either, because then the black square will be very, very weak here. And then, so if you make any of these moves, black would probably just go knight c6, and you have to do something about your knight. And if you move it, you might go queen e3 check, and then take back actually. And because black wants to change queens, black doesn't mind to play end games in general. But white want to mate black. White is playing playing for an attack in general. Yeah. So
white is going for the mate. So they're saying why not rook b1, and that's because for what you said, that they want to castle queenside. You
want to castle queenside. Let's say if you go rook b1, and now the king will have to go short side, but you can't go short side. You see that there will be pin. So maybe black only play bishop e7 here, for example. You can also go knight c6. You can also you can also go knight 6, but maybe just bishop e7. So
then just keep on going,
and then castling, and there is just nothing special happening here, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So rook b1, also like having a rook here controlling the whole pawn. The rook is it's not doing anything.
It's very passive. Yeah, this is very passive. So so you don't want to do that.
So let's see what happened. Queen d2 was played, so he actually gave away the b2 pawn. He didn't care to defend it.
Yeah, in this b2 pawn, I remember Korchnoi always liked to go to take it. And sometimes it was good, sometimes not. But normally it takes a lot of time. But this is a very theoretical position. And here this is quite normal.
Is it the b2 pawn or the a2 pawn that is called the poison pawn?
It's a b2 pawn.
It's the b2 pawn, right?
It's the b2 pawn. And it's lots of lines. You have this queen b6. and you can grab there. And also you can have it even in London. You have this also sometimes. There are, and this is a little bit typical, but it's the B2 pawn, B2 pawn, yeah. And there are different lines, okay, especially with the bishop on G5, when you where you have this. And then of course, if white can make another move, white would castle alongside, and then queenside, and then this queen B6 would be a move for nothing, because in general you want to attack with the pawns, you want to play B5, and the queen is just in the way for B5. So if white plays queen D2, you really have to grab the pawn. I think you don't have another choice, because otherwise this has been a losing tempo.
So MVL decided to take on B2, and then we had rook B1 kicking away the queen.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of another idea. You put the rook on an active file, and it takes some time for black to take this pawn. So you want to say that the black queen is moving out. I mean, you know, the principal rules is take the center out with the pieces, knight and bishop, and castling. And the queen, forget about the queen. But this is one of the exceptions.
Listen to these words, okay, everybody? Samai Rana sub-battle this Sunday. Listen to those words of wisdom that we just heard, okay? We gotta remember them. What pieces to develop, what pieces to not develop, and when to castle. This is important stuff, everybody, okay? Forget about your queen in the first few moves a lot of times, yes. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's go on.
Yeah, so exactly, go on. So rook B1, queen A3, yeah.
And
E5, okay.
Yeah, because it's when you have given a pawn, you want to have something quickly. You need to play, because if you play slowly, black will go bishop E7 and castling, and then you will maybe not have so much. So you need to play for with time, to do something directly. So E5, I guess is the main move. But I'm not sure, because I haven't played this position, not with white, and I don't think I played with black either. I don't think so.
And I think it's really interesting, because I think that's also why it's good that we're talking about it, because if we look at what the computer says, the computer doesn't like at all this E5 move. But this is probably an idea that Fabiano had prepared.
Yeah, no, this is I think it's very, very common move.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think it's a very common move. So this is not something new. No, this is all very well known, actually, E5. And here, what he took, but you can also go, I am not sure if you go directly or if you take first. Maybe you take first. Let's see. I think, he took, I think so.
He went H6 actually here.
Yeah, H6. And this is a little bit, H6, because he wants white to take with the bishop on F6, actually. This is what he wants to. So he played his H6 move. And lots of time you do that. And if white take with the pawn on H6, you take on G5. And if you take on G7, you take back, and you get a very nice, strong bishop. You see, if you take it now, this bishop is coming out, and it's getting very strong. And black is doing very well.
Yeah,
here.
this bishop is super strong.
Yeah, and you see all these black squares, and the white is simply missing the bishop. So even if the kings are a little bit open, there is you have compensation, because you're keeping control in the center. And if So white doesn't play like that. Let's go back. And you see, white want to keep the bishop. So the bishop is more there for to threaten than to take on F6, at least here.
Exactly. So once again, we're threatening. So bishop went back instead to H4.
And this can, of course, be very, very difficult to understand. It's small move H6. The bishop is moving when so many things is happening in there.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think this was considered the main line.
So now MVL took here on E5 and then took back.
Yeah, and here actually you can go, he played the most common move, knight e7. I think you even can go G5 here.
Wow.
I think you even can go G5, take on H4 actually. I think even this is possible to play. But I'm a little bit unsure if you should have changed the pawns on D6, E4. But I guess so, to open up, I guess so. And then you can even go knight e5, but knight e7 is the main move. Yes. No, sorry, go back instead of this. So there's three choices, but black plays the main move, and he has played his. I guess lots of time. So knight e7, and now what happened here? Now he played
knight e4 was the move.
Yeah, and this is So the knight is just heading for this. You have this d6. It's heading for the center, and one reason also you want to make this move was to avoid bishop b4, because otherwise it would have been annoying this pin. So,
yeah, so in this position, if white did something else, bishop b4.
Yeah, was come. And you can see, go back. Maybe we should show this also. If you go bishop b4 here.
In this position now.
Then we would take it with a rook. And then after we take back, we take on f6. So there was no time to put this bishop move before moving the knight. Queen takes, and then we take the knight. You can show that. And with these two pieces, it's just very, very... It's just very good for white, though.
And I think this is good to talk about, because a lot of players, I think, or a lot of people don't really always realize that two pieces are better than a rook, because they think that, one rook is really good and it's better than a minor piece.
Mm-hmm.
So they think that one rook is better than two minor pieces. But people, two minor pieces are, in almost all cases, stronger than a rook. So if you're getting two pieces, I am just recapping important stuff that we're learning here for a sub battle this Sunday against Samairina. If you can get two minor pieces, that is better than a rook.
It's better in the rook in the middle game when you have lots of pieces. But when you go into the end game, the rook and a pawn against a knight and a bishop, can be equal, but it can also be better for the rook, because the rook becomes so extremely strong.
Yes, that's a good point.
When we have few pieces, but it's only in the end game. And then in the end game, the relation could be different. But here we have the middle game still, and we can see that there are lots there are lots of pieces. We have the queens here on the board, which is very good, and the queen is very strong together with the knight. So this is absolutely better for white. This exchange, and we can say that the rook is 5, a pawn is 1, it's 6, knight and bishop is also 6. But for example, two bishops, then it's very seldom. If you have rook, even in the end games, then maybe you need two pawns to compensate two bishops.
Yeah, because the bishop here is so strong.
So let's see what happened.
So took on e5 and then knight d7 and knight e4. So no bishop b4 here.
Yeah, avoiding bishop b4, and now we have both knights in the center. We want to create something against the black king, and and we don't care about this e5 pawn. We don't care about it. But you can see if black would take on e5 now, this would just be a disaster.
Disaster incoming.
Because I guess we would go maybe knight b5, yeah?
Yeah, because there's this checkmate here. This bishop is so strong.
I just wanted to show that, and you have this mate on d8.
Or even checkmate on c7.
Or maybe checkmate on c7. You have everything here. So, of course, you cannot take it now. But the pawn is a little bit hanging. It's a little bit loose.
That's so cool.
Loose.
That's so pretty. Look at this. I mean, imagine being able to checkmate somebody with knight c7. That's beautiful.
Yeah, of course, that's beautiful. Absolutely. It's always very nice when you can make a checkmate with one of your pieces or with a pawn or something. So yeah, that's beautiful. And also that the bishop is also taking part. And now you see this bishop. Why we didn't want to exchange it before? We want to keep it because it's putting pressure on black's king.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It is putting pressure on black's king. Okay, so that's really interesting. So we don't care about that pawn. And right now, from just looking at this position, it looks like black's position is really bad in the sense that all the pieces are in the last rank. The king is still here in the center. But black is going to have black took on h2, so black has 2 pawns. Do you think that black has enough compensation here?
Yeah, this is a very theoretical line, so it's still, thousands games I believe have played with this. So, and when black and both of them play, it's because it's absolutely playable, but you need to know very well.
Yeah.
And taking on a2, one reason you do that is that you want to get the queen back to the center. We will see what will happen. So, because on a3 it didn't have any way back.
Yeah, all of those squares are taken.
All the squares are taken. You can't go queen f5 because the white queen. So it's a way to get back, and when you get them back, you're also grabbing an extra pawn.
Look at that! Instead of going somewhere else to go back, you grab a pawn and you get a square to go back. So it's a 2-in-1.
Yeah, and you're also threatening the rook. So you're winning a tempo. It is.
Yeah. Awesome. So Okay, so let's see. So rook d1 was played.
Yeah.
I guess you put some pressure on the d file.
Yeah, you have to have it on the D line. I mean, there's no other way. If you would go up with the rook, there would be annoying check. No, you don't want to allow it, and you have to be on an open line. And this is it's only the B, A, B, and D, and the only one where the rook could be. So that's very, very logical. Yes, on the D line.
Okay, so queen d5 was played. The queen went back.
Yes.
Okay. The queen is going back, and then queen e3.
Yes, you need to defend your knight on e4, and now we see that its pawn on e5 is also hanging. So white is actually giving so many pawns, but the reason is that you believe that the black is only going out with the queen, and that you will quicker get the castle, and the open lines will also make it easier for you to attack black, actually.
No, it looks that way. It looks that way. This looks like a crazy position already. Wow.
And you can see queen e3, you're defending e4, but now the rook on d1 is a little bit hitting the queen behind the knight.
Yeah.
So you have to a little bit, not yet, but you have to a little bit watch out, because now there's no problem if the knight moves because you have a check on a5, but you have to be careful because they're standing on the same line.
Definitely. Always, always, always. Rooks and queens on the same file are always dangerous. So queen e3, and let's see, queen takes e5. So MVL is basically just grabbing pawns here, moving the queen, because you know what's really interesting, a lot of times you say to somebody, or like the first thing you learn in chess is do not move the queen so many times in the opening, but here we have a game where MVL has moved the queen so many times, and it's good, but it's really interesting, like the path that the queen, I mean, this is literally the path that the queen has taken in the last few moves, so
yeah,
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And one idea when you take on e5 is it's a little bit crazy, this line, but it still has been played lots of time, and still I guess it should be, it's fine. And I guess you have to take this pawn, because it can soon be very annoying that the pawn still remains, and also that you're standing on the same file as the rook. So it's just, but it will give white some tempo.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah, absolutely. So there are already 3 pawns, but it has been this, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 queen moves. So many queen moves, yes.
So let's see. Now c3.
Yeah, and this is an unusual move. So go back, and if you go back in this position, the main move is bishop e2 for the castling quickly. And after bishop e2, bishop c5 is the main move. This is the main idea, to play bishop c5 after bishop e2. But what happened, and then things will become differently from the game. But when he played this, and I think there's maybe thousands of games play with this, there are lots of games play with this position still, and we are in move number 16. So you see, it's a very, very theoretical game, theoretical, that they're playing. So but if you go back here, but there is the point with this little c3 move is, you remember I said that with the queen on d5 you have to watch out for the rook, but you always have the check on a5. After this, now there's no check on a5, and this is maybe the big point, that there's no check on a5 here.
He was very surprised, right, when c3 was played.
Yeah.
Like we could see, if we see here, if we look at the time, MVL had 138, and then after next move he had 121. So he thought for almost 20 minutes.
Almost 20 minutes. And it's also very clever to in one moment you choose something different, and that you go for a minor line, because it's not sure that your opponent will remember it, but you have been looking at it. So it's of course a big advantage to be the first one to go out, to choose something differently, and be the first one to surprise your opponent. So because Caruana, he knows all the details. He had a whole year to spend to prepare this. So absolutely, and then we saw that the MVL spent these 15 minutes. He played bishop c5. But let's see what happened. Now.
Okay, so c3 and bishop g3 was played. So like the line before, basically.
Yeah, this is very good. And now comes this fantastic next move.
Are you ready for this? I know you can't see it here. You maybe saw the game live. Okay. Okay, people, are you ready for this next fantastic move? I have not seen this game complete, so I cannot like 100% recall it, but let's go ahead and play and see the move that it was. Of course we saw it. You said library forgot it happened. Well, yesterday, time to not forget about it, time to recall it. Are you ready for this? Bishop c4.
You play bishop c4. It's a tremendous move because there is no... because you're getting out with the bishop and you're giving it for free. You're giving it for free. It's incredible. And there in general no choice for black than to take the bishop. If you move around the queen, white would just probably castling, and it would just be very, very difficult because you have developed all the pieces and you have this D, E and F line that are all open against the black king. So you have to take it. And then comes to the point with why he gave a whole piece.
So yeah, you're asking if the point of this is to deflect the queen from the well, we'll see exactly what the point of it is.
Yeah,
we'll see now.
It's exactly what it is. It's for to deflect the queen
from the defense on d6.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And it's so of course when he prepared c3, he had seen all these things. I guess we can see it on the time 1:43. Yeah, he hasn't spent almost nothing. Yeah, I guess a very, very little time.
Yeah, I mean 1:43. He has so much time here.
Yeah. So and that's very typical also, that when you have prepared something, normally you play the moves fast, and it's just to show that you know this very well. It's very psychological, and it's could be unpleasant for the opponent because when some of the players start thinking it's because they don't know they're out. Normally they're out, or they are trying to remember and they don't remember. This can also happen.
No, so it's really psychological. So yeah, so as you said, there's not really a lot of options. So MVL went ahead and took on c4, chilling being a bishop and 3 pawns up, but the position not being so clear.
No, it's not. It's this looks very amazing, and of course, and now there comes the next move, the idea with this bishop sacrifice and bishop d6.
So we can see the square here. King and knight and queen. There is a square that would lead to a fork, but there is a bishop right now that is defending from this fork. But in the best of worlds, white would be able to go knight d6 check, black would not be able to take it, and white would win the queen. So that is white's idea here. And I believe, I haven't seen the full game, but I believe that those are types of ideas that are in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. So what he played now is you have to do something. It's bishop d6, and the point is for example, if black play out with a knight, or just say something, knight c6, if play, then you take on c5, and black takes back with a knight, and you have your fork. Because
if you take with the queen, there's a knight, so you have to take back with a knight, and then there is a fork.
And then we have this fork. So why black has to be careful here. And probably MVL played well with the next move. You can also show, which is go back. So here bishop d6, knight on b8, so he can't play knight c6, of course not here. And go put the knight back for black, and if you take, you could take on d4, play with a piece more, but the rook takes d4, and you go, I don't know, queen a4, I guess, no, and then you go, I assume you would go queen a2, sorry, queen a2, sorry, and then you would go castling. It's a piece down, but later on your threat is maybe to go some, I don't know if you go castling, maybe we go bishop b4 and knight e6 check, perhaps. Maybe this is the move actually. If you go back, maybe this is the move. Not castling, maybe here you go bishop b4 directly, bishop b4, and now this knight e6 check is coming directly. But he didn't like it, I'm not sure. But castling, otherwise just castling, and you will have this threat, and it's a piece less. But where is the black king going? It's just very, very difficult for the black king, and you will have this idea later on to move the bishop and put the knight on d6. And MVL didn't want to go for this, so that's why he played a different way, and probably he played a good move here.
And this is a really really tough position to play if you haven't seen it before.
Yes, absolutely. If you haven't analyzed this before. And I was just, I was wondering about time. Of the bishop c4, how much time did it take?
Let's see. That's interesting. So right now MVL has 1 hour, 20 minutes. Caruana 1:43. And he actually only took a minute to take it.
Yeah, so he must have known this. Of course, okay, there's no other choice also.
Yeah.
He must have known it. Let's see what happened afterward. Bishop d6. And what and for the next move here?
Now he thought for 30 minutes.
Now he fought for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's also right. We don't know if he has seen this position before. But when bishop c4 comes, there is no other choice for black. So black has to take it. But knight f6 is probably a good move because when he's a piece and he has free pawns. He's a piece and the free pawns up. He just wants to exchange pieces. And he even if he loses a piece, it doesn't matter. What he wants is to change pieces, and he wants to put his king in safety.
Yeah, that's all he wants. Something he doesn't have now. The king is in the center, but he wants to get the king to safety. So yes. So knight f6, and let's see what happens. So now when he goes knight f6, he is immediately giving back this piece.
And this is very typical. And also sometimes when you even have just a pawn up, sometimes you give it back because you get initiative, you get piece play, you get other compensation. And that's why it's an advantage to have extra material, because you can always give something back for other advantages. Yes. But okay.
Exactly.
So took a knight. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's sometimes the thing as well. When you have a lot, sometimes you want to have a lot to be able to give more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So that's also strategy, you know. Okay. So let's go ahead and see knight d5.
Hitting a queen. Yeah, that's very logical. Yes.
Yeah. And then queen e5. Okay, centralizing the queen, putting some pressure over here.
Yeah, putting very, very strong pressure. Yeah. If you could play bishop, queen take g7, you would just be winning because there's no way to defend the rook. And you see, and now he played, what did he play here next move? He played...
I mean, this is so cool. Fabiana's just chilling here with 1 hour 44 minutes. He literally has more time than before.
And he has 1 hour more than his opponent.
Yeah.
And you can see this is so psychological. He's putting so much pressure because also he doesn't give his opponent time to think on his time. His opponent can only think on his own time. And at the same time, he's showing that, I know this very well. I know all the moves. I know everything here. And this is unpleasant to me.
For sure. It's really unpleasant to play against somebody that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially knowing that your opponent is no other than Fabiano Caruana at the same time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because he sometimes has some very, very good preparation like this one, of course. And also he's a very strong player.
Yeah. So this is a really cool move, and putting pressure on g7. So rook g8 was played. Maybe that was one of the only moves to defend here.
Yeah, and this is also sometimes typical that if you can take something, you wait with it. So he didn't want to take a c3. He thought that if he wants to do it, he can do it later. He would just help white to get the last rook into the game.
Yeah. So it will help the king and the rook situation.
So he played...
rook g8 to defend?
To defend. It means that there will not be any castling on the king's side.
And it seems to be a long time till the king can castle that way too.
Yeah, so the king will remain in the center now for a while.
Okay, so we got... Wow!
He played knight take e6.
Another one!
Another one, yes. Yeah, this is... And... Another one, this is a tremendous move. Yes, knight take e6. And I guess this is the whole idea with White's play, that because he had to do something quickly. Otherwise, black would have played maybe knight c6, and you would have been pushed back, or maybe knight e7, and you would have been forced to exchange one piece, and then after you can have long castling quickly. So white has to be quickly, and this is typical because there is your material behind. You have to show something quickly before black you can stop playing with his other pieces.
It feels like Caruana was not afraid of giving away pieces this game. No. It's almost like he wanted to.
Yeah, he played.
That's really cool. Wow, 96.
So, But of course, when he played Rook G8, he knew that this was coming. So, and let's see. So he took.
And this is still preparation. It's incredible. He has like an hour 10 more.
And now
he took with the knight.
Yeah. And you cannot take on E6. You know, it will be like you take back. There will be everything will be hanging, and you take on G8, and then after you take on, and now here you make maybe Queen F7, and you
or
can
you
take.
Can even go here maybe.
Yeah, but let's start with Rook take D5. Yeah, Rook take D5 is very good. So this is this will probably finish quickly. Yes.
Yeah. No, this is a complete disaster.
Exactly. So no, of course he cannot do that. So in here, what did he play here?
Queen C3 check. He took on C3.
He took on C3. And this is the most human move to play, and I think this is what everyone most players would have done. And now all of a sudden we're changing queens, but there is a problem for black. There is one little problem. There's a problem. We'll see what will happen. And he took, or maybe it's still fine. Yeah, he took. And now we have let's see what white. So all of a sudden the queens came off. And what can we see? Black has a piece move, but there is a fork. So there are lots of pieces hanging still. And black has to move the king. You have to move the king out here.
King F7, I suppose?
Yeah, you have to go. You don't want to put the king on the same line, same file as the rook. And now white cannot take on A7, because then...
On A8.
A8, then black will take on D1. You have to first kick, you have to threaten the knight first.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to give away this one for the other one. So Rook D3 makes a lot of sense.
And now he moved his knight, but then...
Legend! Wait for it! Especially if you watched How I Met Your Mother. Dairy move! You don't know that reference, right?
No, I don't know that.
It's from How I Met Your Mother. You know how Barney always says, it's legend, wait for it, dairy.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know a little bit. Yes, but not that well. I will have to look for it next time.
You know the show that I'm talking to you about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course I know. Of course I've seen it. But I just don't. Oh.
Okay. So this is
Oh. Okay. We have to watch it tonight.
You have to watch it tonight, Mom. I'll do it on your birthday too. I'll show that to you. Okay. So we had a very legendary move, okay? Very legendary move. Boom! Castles! Saying, you know what? We have a rook hanging over here, but let me just go ahead, get the king in safety, and at the same time...
This is very important move, because you threat the king has to go out on the board, which means that you later on might get the check. So this is it's a good move to make first, actually.
Castle.
Castling. This is good. So the king is more unsafe where it has to go now.
Yeah, I mean the question is, where's the king gonna go? Like,
there's only one square.
There's only one square. All of these. If the knight would have taken it on A8 first, then as you said, then the king would have been able to.
Then you play Rook D8. You go Rook D8, and then after castling you can go King G8 probably.
Oh, Rook D8. Oh, okay, and then castling King J8. So now the king is in a whole other place.
Yeah, there it becomes just more safe. And I don't know, there it becomes just more safe. And if you take on B8, we have this Rook take D3, so you can't play that.
Yeah, so that would just not be possible. So it seems like castles was a very important move here then. That's very nice, wow.
Yeah. No, so this is very important. Sometimes not to be in a hurry, just to see can I make a move between intermediate move and then after take the rook. Someone said that Caruana took time before he played this move, so he was probably surprised by Rook A7. Maybe this is first time he's thinking.
Oh, Caruana, but he still says 1 hour 35. So when he thought for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but maybe this is the first time he start thinking in the game actually. So and then what an incredible preparation. Yes. So castling. Yes, let's go on. The king has to go out. And now he takes the rook, because now he grabs the rook.
Look at that square. So that's where the king is going right now. The king is on a path to h7, right?
Yeah, but it's on its way to h7, but it might be that you can get rook g3. You can get the activity with your rook. So you win sometimes. So the king is not that. It would have been better on g8, I think, than there. Okay, so he took, and now what happened here?
We got knight c6, pieces getting developed.
Yes. Out for the pieces. Knight b6.
He won rook d8 here, yes.
Yes. You can see here now, I forgot to say that white has an exchange up, but black has these 2 pawns. And in general, this position should be about level, because the rook is 5, the bishop and the 2 pawns are, or the knight and 2 pawns are also 5. But in the endgame, the rook becomes so strong. So I guess it's about level, but it's easier to play for white. And if anyone has chances to win, it's white. So I guess that Caruana at this moment, he was happy with his preparation, that it has been successful.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. So knight takes c8. What's the move here?
Yeah. So, and now we have, like this, and where probably the rooks will become very strong. But still, maybe still it should be about level because of these 2 pawns. If you take away the 2 pawns and it would be equal pawns, this would be very good for white, because with the rook against the knight and you have equal pawns, even if it's only 2 pawns left, it's very good. It should be it should be winning, but without the pawns, it's a draw, of course. Rook against knight,
Yeah.
So let's go on here.
Awesome. So we got bishop a3 here now. Okay, so bishop is going. Is it because the bishop was attacked and that was the best place to go?
Yeah, you can say that. That's he thought it was the best place to go, and he wants to play with his rook because the rook was a little bit pinned there. It was a little bit. I had to keep an eye on the bishop.
Had to stay there. It was stuck there.
Yeah, it was stuck there. So he wanted to have open, to be able to move the rook, to activate the rook, and maybe to get rid of this knight on d6, on e4, and then you can start attacking. And also there's some plans of going rook, maybe rook d7. If you get 2 rooks on the 7th, that's very, very dangerous.
Mom, we're gonna have to create a slogan for that. 2 rooks on the 7th are, like the knight on the rim is grim.
Yes.
2 rooks on the 7th are. Go on. You go on. I'll think about it.
But after rook to 7, you will threaten take on b7. You have a bishop coming to b2. So the bishop is going down because so far away, because there was no other piece which can take it, and then you go to b2 and you're looking at g7. And that could be dangerous. So I guess he played probably rook c7 or something to avoid the rook.
Yeah, I went rook c7 exactly.
Yeah, this is very. You always have to be careful for this rook on the 7th, because it always becomes very strong when you're attacking the pawns on the base, and sometimes you are cutting off the king from to come out. So so this is. Yeah.
2 rooks on the 7 are heaven.
Yeah, it could be. That's good. Yeah, that could be. That's very good. And you always say, you used to say that the rook on the 7 compensates at least 1 pawn, and if you have 2 rooks on 7, then it could be made.
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure. No, I mean it's super strong, and those rooks are being 100% unstoppable. So now rook f4, kicking away this knight, and I suppose that it's because you want to have some ideas of going rook d3 maybe?
Yeah, you want to kick away the knight, and you want to get your pieces more active, and so that's a very logical move, and the knight doesn't have any piece to defend it. It has to, you have to do something with it, really. So you have to go back.
So knight f6, and okay, so bishop b2, and yes, this is just to put some pressure on this diagonal.
Yes.
You're soon going to be going for some checks maybe, and then you want to have some extra pressure going on over here.
Yeah, it could be. And also it could be just what will happen in the game. Let's see what will happen. But it's absolutely what it's going to do. And maybe try to create another weakness. Create something that he can target and play against.
Yeah.
And of course, the pawns on the queen side now, he can't really go for them, but he can try to weaken the king and to play against the king, and this is what I guess he will do then.
So knight e7.
And maybe now he has some idea, go knight e5 to annoy the
rook.
Yeah, maybe to annoy the rook. Maybe also to I don't know, rook c2 perhaps, I don't know. But he wants the other knight closer to the king. And then he played this, I don't know if it's surprising or not, but I think it's good what he plays here.
Bishop takes f6.
Yeah, because the pawns, when they're not together, they're weaker. So now this pawn on f6 will absolutely become weaker now than it was before. So that's why he gives up the bishop, actually, because otherwise rook and a bishop is a little bit stronger normally, you say, than a rook and a knight. But two knights maybe, and they are very good for defending the king. So that's why he took there, and to create the weaknesses, to create something to
play against.
Yeah, play against Bombay, actually. The boy Bombay, I don't know. But absolutely. So now they are weaker, and also the king is weaker because you have this open G line. Yeah, okay, sorry. That wasn't the right one. Okay, yeah. So, and what he played here now he played h4. Yeah, he could also have gone rook d6 directly, and the only one.
Rook d6.
Yeah, and if go back instead of h4, you could have gone rook d6, and then because black has to go knight f5, and then
just stop on taking an f6.
And then just to keep this position, because black is very a little bit stuck up. So there was another way to play the rook d6 directly. And h4, I guess. You want to take away the g5 square for the king. I think that's one of the reasons he played this move. And I don't know if he has some idea sometimes going h5, try to give the h pawn against d6. I'm not sure. But so h4 was played. It was also reasonable. But every time we change a pawn on the king side, this will help black. Black wants to change these two pawns. And without the pawns at all on the king side, and it would be a draw. So white need to keep at least one pawn, because that has to be the winning pawn.
Yeah, exactly. So because as you said before, if it's just rooks versus rook and knight, then that's going to end up being a draw.
Yeah, that's a draw.
So you want to keep the pawns here, yeah.
That's a draw.
Exactly. So thank you also Twin Carlos for subscribing. But yes. Also, maybe now there's king h2 after some checks at some point.
Yeah, you can go out with the king there also if you want to. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it was more to avoiding king g5, and it is what I think. So let's see. So h5 was played. Yeah, that's logical, because sometimes you might want to go knight f5, and also sometimes you might be a little bit worried about. Actually, you could have been a little bit worried about the rook g3 and h5 coming, and you are a little bit restricted.
So let's add a random move is made, I don't know, here.
Yes, okay, this was, and maybe sometimes you can be a little bit worried about this, because the idea is to go rook g4, and if the knight move you have the entry, you can enter on g6. So
yeah, exactly.
So that's why you went h5, and that's quite common. White make h4 many times. You stop the pawn from going further. So h5.
So h5, and then rook g3, king f7, and rook g5. Okay, this really good move attacking this pawn, but it looks a little bit, because of the pawn being here. But obviously it's pinned over here. But it looks a bit cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to go and take the pawn. And
so rook c1, and the king is going to h2.
Yeah, because now there was no time to change rooks, because black would have taken the rook, and then the other rook was hanging. So you need to move the king. Yes. Yeah,
that would be a complete disaster. So no time to change rooks. And now we have knight g6, which is really interesting, threatening both the rook and the pawn here.
Yeah, so no, that's very important. If black doesn't have this move, and if he would have lost the h pawn for nothing, he would probably have been lost, because
pawn push.
The pawn would push, and also the pawns on the queen side, they cannot do so much, because the two rooks are so strong. They are keeping so many files. So it was very important that black had his move. And now, of course, white has to be on the F line to defend the rook. So what will happen is that, we will see there will be some
cool stuff.
Cool stuff, yeah. I think it will be, I would say there will be some exchanges of pawn, but it might be cool stuff too.
Okay. Mom, that is in chess the definition of cool stuff. Rook f2, the rook went back.
and now he took.
I guess that the idea of going rook f, or I'm just wondering, I have no idea, but I guess that going rook f2 instead of other places is that after knight takes, now you can take on h5, and there's no ideas of going rook c2 or something like that.
No, otherwise if you move the rook on the other square, you would be threatening the rook. So it was the only free square to f2.
Oh, actually, okay,
if you go free, so rook f2 was the only one. Otherwise, the knight would be kicking it again.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So you have to do that.
So knight takes h4, and now there's only one pawn left for white. So you gotta be a bit careful.
Yeah, it's only this pawn left. Yeah, but I mean, both players have seen this, and then what black, the pawns will fall on the queen side, but black is hoping that this 1 against 1 will be enough. That this 1 against 1 will be enough to defend. Actually, because what happened on the queen side will be gone now.
Yeah, especially, I mean, now it's immediately going to be gone. The pawn is just hanging, and now this pawn is just a lonely passed pawn that is not really...
Yeah, and now and here again we can see how strong the rooks are, so they will quickly go for the pawn. But important for black is to keep f6. f6 is what counts. So you have to keep the f6 pawn, and you have to have your knight and your rook close to the king so you can defend it. That's very important.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay. Takes knight e5.
That's logical.
Oh, because of the knight g4 idea.
Yeah, and also because you want to defend against, there was a threat of check and take on f6. You have to defend it, yes. So
there's a check anyways.
He made a check, and he decided to change the rook and to go for this endgame. And I guess there are good drawing chances, but it's of course always more pleasant to play with white, and of course the rook, but black will try to defend, and normally knight is a quite good defender actually. So
I have to say, it's so crazy how this game went from being such a tactical, crazy masterpiece kind of to becoming this endgame here, which it's really interesting.
Yeah, but I think that's very typical because there's two very strong players who play. So I mean, even if MVL, he was surprised in the opening, he was finding some fantastic good defense.
Yeah.
He was playing very well, and he went into this endgame. And this is what happened lots of time. If he would have been a weaker player, maybe he would have been mated. It would have been decided already in the middle game.
Yeah.
But he's so good, so he finds resources all the time. And that's why lots of game goes into endgames and will be decided there. But Caruana, he got this game uphill, he got so much from the beginning, and he could use his time later on. And we can see here now, he has only 6 minutes more than his opponent. So he has been spending his time for the end game. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that they're now move 40. I guess they get time.
Yeah, they get
at
time.
This point.
They get time after 40, and I think they get time after 60 also. I think they play with the slowest time control they use now.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they get an hour, could it be? And then after 40, maybe they could get 40 minutes or something, or 30 minutes. But I don't know exactly. But after 60 moves, they could get some extra time again. And it's really because they want the chess to win, not that it will decided on the clock.
Yeah.
And as chess, when I was young, was played with so much longer time control, they are a little bit letting the world's best still have quite a lot of time.
Okay. So let's see what happened here. Rook c6, he exchanged.
Yeah, that's very logical. White won't exchange.
What happens if rook b2 though, to try to bring the rook up? Maybe that's not what you want.
It doesn't really matter because you're going to take this a pawn. The a pawn is just lost, so it doesn't really matter in which way you will do it, but because you will win it anyway. It's so far away. The knight has no chance to defend it. If the king tries to defend it, the f pawn will fall, and then the g pawn will just march down. So everything is about so everything is about keeping the f6 pawn against the g4 pawn, and if black can do that and keep away the white king, he might keep the draw.
Yeah, so it took on c6, knight takes, and now I thought Now, I thought there'd be a move like rook a2, but maybe you're not in a hurry to take this pawn.
Rook e2, he go maybe a5. You have to a little bit kick the knight
okay.
first, but you will win. I don't know. He just enter with the king, because this is very important in the end games. There's no, also even if you have a rook and king against the king, only way to give mate is to use the king. So in the end game, the king is very important, and there is a little bit of saying that if one player has an active king which you can use, and the other one has a passive king which you cannot use, it's like playing with a piece more. It's like having 3 points more.
For sure.
So the king has to enter, and this a pawn, it's not going anywhere. So that's very logical move.
Yeah. Nothing to be afraid of. So king f7.
Yeah, he's just waiting. It's just a waiting move.
And okay, rook c2 now.
Yeah, he's kicking the knight, and then he wants to take the pawn.
So he's trying a way of defending.
And
Rook d2.
Yeah, he's going to go, I think, rook d6. He went back.
And the king is going up. Okay. So yeah, right now he's just waiting, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit of waiting on white needs to go and take this pawn also on a6. And you can see that the first thing white do was to activate the king. Now he goes for the a pawn, but his e2 pawn, he decided to keep it on g2 because pawns cannot go backwards. So when you start pushing them, you have to be sure that you put them on the right square.
Yeah.
And he's not allowed to change the pawns. This is his winning pawn. So that's why he makes his other plans first, and then afterwards he will take the decision, decide where if you go g3 or g4 with
because the more you push it, the more of a chance there is maybe of there being an exchange at some point.
It could be, but it's a little bit like it could absolutely be. You have to you have to have it under control. I guess here, even if it's on g4, it will not be exchanged, but maybe you take away squares. Maybe you want to use this square for going up with the king. Yeah. And if the king start walking, you want to have your pawn as far as possible from the f6 pawn, because the knight is a slow piece.
Yeah.
So the knight needs to defend the f6, and then you want your g pawn to be far away, so it cannot defend f6 and attack the g pawn at the same time.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
So that's why, you can see that he doesn't move the pawn. He will decide later what he will do with it, and I think it will take some time before he will move it.
I think that's a really cool. I think that's in general a really, really cool idea. I mean, because it's something that I think that a lot of people don't know, that because typically you just think, okay, you gotta push the pawn as much as possible, but there's consequences of pushing pawns even in endgames. So I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, absolutely. Here you really have to be careful with pushing this pawn, because if you push it, black put his knight, could be on e5, and then it's not so easy for the white king to enter. Actually, it's not
for sure. For sure. So let's see. So knight e5.
Yes.
Hello, Alpine. By the way, welcome back. Let's see. Rook a6. Nice.
Yes. Let's see what they play. Knight f7. I guess now you will see some moves moving back and forwards, and it's a little bit like you haven't made up your mind, maybe a little bit getting more time on the clock, a little bit getting feeling for the position, making deciding. So we can see what's happening here. Maybe you can jump
knight h6, and I think this is really instructive to know how to win this, because this I think for a lot of people it's not an easy endgame to win.
No, it's absolutely not an easy endgame to win. Absolutely not. It's for every 2 against 2 is much easier, 3 against 3 is much easier, but 1 against 1 is less, and so it's not at all easy. And maybe the question is, why should the knight be? I think rook h5, rook a5. One idea was actually that you avoid knight f5 here, so a little bit taking away this possibility. And because the question is, where is the knight best? And it could be that the knight is best on g7, because on g7 you're taking lots of squares around the king actually. So it could be that the knight would be better there.
Yeah, for sure. Here it doesn't really look like it.
Because if you have the knight on g7, there is no way to enter for the white king on the h line, because you cannot go to h5 and you cannot go to g5. The only way to enter is d6 e7, but there you might be able to kick it with some checks. So it could be that the knight would be better on g7.
But it's not easy to get there either, because Because once, after rook a5 stopping knight f5, I mean, it's not an easy path.
No, it's not an easy path at all. Not at all. So let's see what happened here. And these things is what you have to more than think of the moves, you have to think of where do I want to have my pieces, and especially where do I want to have my knight. And black has to try to keep the white king away.
Yeah.
So the white king is not allowed to enter and attack the f6 pawn, because then it will be lost.
Yeah. And would you feel confident to win this?
No, I wouldn't. I would just be trying. I wouldn't. Yeah. I wouldn't know if this is winning or if it's a draw. So I wouldn't. But I would love to play the position because it's so much more pleasant. But I wouldn't be sure if I would win or if it was a draw.
Yeah. So knight f7, the knight is going back, and now rook a3.
Yes, rook a3. He want to play rook e3 and just a little bit kick back the king. So that's why. And now knight e6. So he wants to keep control of the f5 square. I guess that's why he go here. And now where he go? And now you can go. And now, you could have gone knight f5 and knight g7. Maybe this could have been a possibility here, and knight g7 if you wanted it. Yes.
So he went knight f5. Yeah.
He did knight f5. He did that. And what happened here now?
Rook d3 was played.
Yes, and here he could have done the rook knight g7 if he wanted, but I'm not, because of the knight g7. Maybe you can defend with king f7 somehow. Yeah. Okay, but let's see what he played. He played knight h6.
Knight is going back to h6.
Yeah, it's a little bit now the check. Yeah, it's a little bit like moving around here. So
king e4. Knight there, king f5. So he's activating the king here now.
Yeah, but he will be pushed back immediately here.
Yeah.
So king f4. And now he's running over here. Now the king is running. You see, still it's pawn on g2. He hasn't moved it. He has kept it as far away as possible from the knight. No, we don't want the knight to attack it. We don't want to make any exchanges. And this is how you have to play this. You have to keep the pawn far away.
That's just so cool. How if the king was in g4, this would have been so much more difficult.
Yeah, because it would have been so much more difficult also to get away to enter with the king. With the pawn on g4, it would have been a little bit in the way too. So let's see.
King g6, king f3.
And we can also see that black wants to keep the pawn on f6. If he would put it on f5, it would be probably easier to target it. So he stay with it on f6, because there also would be more lines behind the king for the rook to check. So he wants to keep it on f6.
Look at the sunset, by the way.
Oh, it's so beautiful now. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah, it's already 8 o'clock. Yeah, this was a long game, you know. I must say it's a very long game, and it's but it's a lovely game, absolutely. So, and very, very exciting here. 97.
97, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's be going back and forth, and sometimes also a little bit when you do that, the opponent is maybe getting a little bit more quiet, think, I will make a draw here, get a little more relaxed, but it's just what you do. You go back and forth, and then finally you find your way, or maybe your opponent make a mistake, and you get what you want to.
So knight d5, king f5. King is going the other way.
Yeah, I think this we have had 2 times. It looks like that. So now he has to be a little careful. See, well, rook h3. Yeah, it's good to move the rook. So now he can start moving the king again. So
this is so. I wonder how he won.
Yeah, no, you will see afterwards.
What's the method here to winning?
The method is to enter with the king. This is the method. You need to enter with the king, and if the king can enter and to attack the pawn on f6, you will be winning. And that's why this king need to be on f7, so the white king cannot go to g7, g6 or e6. So this is the way to win.
So knight there, rook g3.
And now it's coming here. Now it's coming this way. And
isn't this the same position they had before?
No, the king was on e4. Now this is the first time he goes, I think, to h5. Now he's coming in here, and now now he's getting a little bit in. Now this is getting awkward for black, because even if you are not coming to the f pawn, but you are entering the position, and I don't really know what What shall black do here? Let's see.
So black went knight d5.
Yeah, it could be that this was, but it's not so easy that this was not.
What happened if black, instead of going there, went king g6 to avoid this?
You go king h4 check, and then you have to go back, and then you go king h5.
And if you go here?
If you,
then the knight is
the knight,
yeah.
And you always need to stay close to your pawn, so you have to be on the F line. So we will have the same position again.
Yeah.
It wouldn't change. It would have been one more only.
So knight e7, and knight king is going back up.
He could have played a. Let's see. Yeah, if you go knight g8, you will probably just move your rook one little step. You move your rook one little step, and then it will be a little bit like you go rook six one. Yeah, knight g8, we go rook g4, and it's 6-1. If black could pass here, if you can say, like I said, you move all the time, then probably this is draw. But it's 6-1. If you go down with it, move the king, white king will enter to g6, and if you move the knight, the king will enter to h6 also.
Yeah, the king is entering,
and it's coming here, and then after. The tactic is to get away the king from f7, because
maybe something like this.
It could be that way. It could also be rook a3, rook a7. It could be different ways, and and then of course with the king on h7, if you get the check, the king has to go to e6, and then finally you're getting close to the f pawn.
But in this, thank you by the way, Shania, for resubscribing 6 months. Thank you. But even in this position, like let's say that they could just go pass or something, isn't rook takes g8 winning maybe?
In this position, take. Yes, this the rook take g8 is winning. Yes, I think so.
That could be one idea.
Yeah, because it's winning because you have this pawn on g2. You always have 1 or 2 steps. Yeah, you're threatening to take on g8 and king g6. And then you will take the pawn, and then you will have this opposition. Yeah, this is also, and this is also typical when you have material extra that you can give back something, and you get, like here, you get a winning pawn, and then.
Yeah. So once again, sometimes you have more to be able to give back. So king h6. Oh, sorry, that was not the game. So. This is the game. Ginger, thank you for resubscribing 2 months on Prime. Thank you.
No, king h6, he would even lose. That's why he didn't play that.
There's knight f5.
Yeah, so you have to be careful for the knights. So it's black to move rook f3 here. And
now g4, okay.
Now finally he made g4. He made it, and he thought that now the rook is good on the 3rd line because there's no knight e3. Attacking it, and maybe because the knight is very far away from e5, because on e5 it would attack the pawn, but here on d5, so it would take like quite a lot of moves to get there. 1, 2, 3.
So king e5, and now finally king g6. And
I think maybe did he resign here, or did he play anything more here?
He resigned.
Yeah. So this was when the king entered, it just was finished directly.
Yeah.
Directly, yes.
So a difficult task was to get the king to enter.
Yeah, that was difficult, really. And we saw that only when he had done that, then he put his pawn on g4 and decided the game. So it was a very fantastic game. It was the opening was like shocking. It was very, very well preparation, I guess. I understand from Fabiano Caruana, but MVL also played very well. He defended very well in this difficult position. Also, find good moves, and that's what happened because he needs to use a lot of time and a lot of energy, and then it might be more difficult. All the time he's playing uphills. All the time he has a difficult position. He was never better. He was almost fighting for a draw, and it's just tough. And then it happens that you make in some critical moment, you don't make the best. You make maybe good move, maybe fine move, but not the best. And then
I mean, from the opening, it became an uphill battle, basically.
Yeah, it did, absolutely. Maybe if he could keep his rook a7. We don't know what the Caruana had prepared there, but maybe then it would have been, it would have been better than go for this playing with exchange down. But anyway, maybe it should could have been, it should have been equal, but easier for white to play.
Yeah, this is a really cool game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a game, you had everything. You had you have this preparation, you had a tremendous attack in the opening, all the pieces, and the attacking the king. And then all of a sudden, this quiet endgame.
Yeah.
And this is why endgames are so important, because you have to know that sometimes you're exchanging for an end game, and then you have to know how to value it. Do you want to go for it? How is this? And the end games normally you're learning by playing. Actually, you have to keep on playing that.
Yeah, for sure. They're so practical.
They're so practical. And they're so difficult also normally.
Yeah. Would you say that they're the most difficult part of the game?
I think so. I think they are the most difficult. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a big thumbs up and also to subscribe. If you ever want to catch me live, go ahead and go to twitch.tv/Anna Cramling. Hope to see you there.